Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed lunch and are ready for our very last sessions of this year's Heinov Dialogue 2023. As you know, the Arctic is not only about innovation, especially those who have been following the Heinov Dialogue knows about our routines, and our well-established routines are happening now. It's not only the Heinov scenario session, it's also our ambassador panel, and later on our Heinov hero panel. So in order to present and discuss this year's Heinov scenarios, I want to introduce the moderator of this session, my colleague at the Heinov Center, Elena Dybtsyna. Elena, the floor is all yours. Look forward.
And I will try. I wanted to do it like Andreas doing it. He's just flying onto the stage. But I probably need more experiences. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants of the Heinov Dialogue 2023. This year you have heard already that the Heinov Dialogue is focusing on the spaces of opportunities. But let's face it, sometimes opportunities, like challenges, they mean changes, right? And most people, we really don't like so much changes. And sometimes dramatic changes, they require us to get out of this comfort zone that we are very used to and our established ways of thinking and doing things. So instead of accepting the discomfort of the change and be proactive, that we really would like to have this quality in us, we accept the comfort of having the things like they are. We are mostly reactive when we say sometimes. We change when we are just need to force to do it. So, but on the other hand, to be proactive, it is ability that can be trained. The question is, what can we as an educational institution do to improve these abilities, to think unthinkable and face the discomfort of all potential challenges or changes in our lives? How to make sure that we are better prepared to face opportunities and challenges which may or may not dramatically change our everyday or ways of thinking and doing things that we have been already experiencing, for example, for the last years. So we need to understand how to make sense of the changing world and take proactive advantage of this change. There is an ability to be ahead of changes. Foresight as the academic discipline and as a particular methodology and scenarios as a particular methodology is one of the ways to make it happen. You can think about the scenario planning exercise actually in a way that organized series of thought experiments when the participants actually are asked to logically think about how different driving forces and trends can shape the plausible scenarios or plausible futures in the High North. So, during the last several years, we have been organizing the scenario workshops here in Buda, in the business school and the Heinov Center, where we teach the students this methodology with the relevance for the smart cities in the High North, because we are in Buda, and Buda wants to be a smart and sustainable city in the Arctic. So this scenario workshop is actually a compulsory part of 2 our master programs that are organized in business school. One of them you already heard, it's a Master of Science in Global Management, and the other one that we have also Master of Science in Public Sector Economy. So what we do is that students, they learn about scenario methodology. They, in systematic way, identify the factors and trends that can shape those potential futures for the smart cities in the High North, and we are asking them to do it until 2045. They group factors in the assumptions, uncertainties, and identify potential cause and effect paths. Those factors can reveal towards different potential futures. And one more thing we ask them to do is actually to identify those so-called wildcards, or the black swans in the scenario methodology jargon, events with a very low probability, but if they happen, they will have a huge impact. So, this year, there were around 45 students taking part in this scenario workshop, and they're representing 14 different nationalities. We have divided students in several teams, and the students during this semester, they've been taking part in the lectures, of course doing the readings and cases on the topic, what is it actually High North? What is the smart city and how it can be understood? And actually how to develop the scenarios. So then they met for some of the group discussions to do the following task. They were supposed to develop scenarios for the smart cities in the High North until 2045, and then to map those implications, the implications of those scenarios for a particular sector of the smart cities. And each and every group, they got their own sector. There was somebody discussing mobility, somebody energy, sustainable agriculture, telecommunications, environment and climate, urban planning, and so on. So, these meetings, after the discussions, they've been culminated on Tuesday morning, actually 2 days ago, in the presentation to the session of the jury, consisting of Marianne Bar-Simonsen from Buda Municipality and Craft Center, Marius Fagerli from Innovation Norway, Nordland, Roman Vakulchuk from Norwegian Institute of the International Affairs, and Sara Bromström from the University of Gothenburg in Sweden. So, during presentations, we have heard different scenarios of plausible futures. We even have met Miss Arctic, who has been very worried about her future and how smart cities will look like. So, the jury have evaluated scenarios and also have ranked them according to their performance and also their using of scenario methodology. It means, even though all of the groups, they have done a fantastic work. We even not were able to differentiate between the second and the third place because they were so good. But there is one group that have done a very good job and deserved a special attention. So with these words, I invite the winning team to present you their scenarios.
Hello. Check. Everybody's hearing me? Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bisal Vikrant Adhikari, and I'm from Nepal.
My name is Thomas. I am from the Tønsberg area in Norway.
My name is Su. I'm from ECNU, China.
I'm Olawale Bamishai from Nigeria.
So I'd like to directly start the presentation. So I'd like to thank High North Dialogue 2023 for giving us this opportunity to speak our mind. And I'd also like to thank our Professor Elena for all the love and support till now.
Wow.
So I'd like to start with the question, are you ready for the change? You better be ready because it's coming anyway. You might have some resistance to change, you might adapt, or you go with the flow. But it doesn't mean that you don't have any control over the change. There are some few internal factors that you can change today and take some small initiative or action that will picture your position in the future. So our scenario is based on this concept of what will be our position in the future based on what our action and initiatives are today. What will happen when we take action, and what will happen if we fail to take the correct action. So our scenarios are based on the 4 assumptions and 6 uncertainties based on the facts that are available now. So we assume that there will be technological advancement because due to the growth in investment of the green technology and also the investment related to the technology related to the smart city development. And we also know there will be like growing economic activities in the high north. It is because due to the resource richness of the high north, and the nature will always provide the resources in the high north. And we also know that there will be new environmental policy coming to restrict the activities here because due to the climate sensitivity of the high north. And also we know that due to the rapid change in the population, there will be increased energy demand domestic and globally. And some of the uncertainties is the cooperation between the Arctic cities and also internationally due to the changing geopolitical dynamics and also the demography factors like in-migration, out-migration, aging population, such kind of thing, and also the pace of global warming. Are we able to contain the temperature within our destination, or it is going beyond? So, and also major concern is also the social and economic indicators because 8 states have different economic and social indicator and different needs. And also the most dynamic thing is also the geopolitics, and also about the participation. Participation, it means that participation of the people in the governance, participation of indigenous to save the culture and the resources. And I'd like to start with the most optimistic scenario we have here.
Thank you. Yes, this is the utopian Arctic. In this scenario, Norway has managed to become carbon neutral, which has given Norway a huge opportunity to supply the rest of the countries in the EU with green technology and green energy solutions in order to reach the goal of the Green Deal, which is to become climate neutral within the year 2050, and to decouple resource use from economic growth. In this scenario, the government has also given incentives to businesses working with research and development in green tech solutions and implementation of circular economy into the life cycle of products. In these smart cities, there will be information and communication technologies, where an example of this can be Loopfront, which is a web-based application focusing on facilitating the reuse, repair, redesign, recycling of building materials, fixtures, and furnitures in order to solve the issues connected to construction and demolition waste, in which today accounts for 1/3 of all waste generated in the EU. In these smart cities, the issue of scattered cities and difficulty of traveling is solved through inventions such as the electric plane, which has been showed already by Widerøe in the collaboration project Zero with Rolls-Royce. This both reduces emissions as well as migration in the Arctic regions. In addition to this, there will be given job packages to foreign workers in order to attract people from all around the world to come to the Arctic cities, which will give companies diverse knowledge and also help companies overcome language barriers, which is critical in expanding to new markets. With this scenario, we have shown that it is achievable to become carbon neutral, and we will show that it is achievable to become climate neutral as well. As green energy becomes more apparent, it will further continue the lead of research and development and replace fossil fuels eventually as the primary source of energy connected to economic growth. This will further raise the demand for green solutions in which companies such as Statkraft will be able to flourish on the international markets. And finally, the relations between the West and the East are as low as they have ever been, the tensions that is. In this scenario, they cooperate and communicate regularly between the Arctic members, and they rely on each other's technology in order to exploit the resources found in the Arctic in a safe, environmentally sustainable manner. This, with addition to countries becoming less dependent on fossil fuels, will lead to less worry of the Arctic becoming an eventual battlefront in the future of the resources that is found there. Instead of worrying about conflict, the people in the Arctic cities can live in harmony with the animals that are there.
So we have a darker side here, the curse of the hidden treasure. So this scenario is based on a fact that the economic development or the economic growth is not the only solution for the Arctic, which is highly sensitive to climate change and the nature. So we assume that there will be economic growth due to the minerals, oil and gas extraction in high north due to the two basic reasons. One is the global reason, that will be the surge in the energy demand due to the population growth, and also the slowed green transition. There will be a geopolitical tension or the pressure for Arctic regions to extract those minerals and oils and gas to fulfill those energy demand. And other domestic thing will be the crash of the fishery industries. Due to the climate change and the ocean acidification, the fishery industries might go down, and they will have to contemplate the gap, economic gap created by the downsize of the fishery by extracting the oil and gas. And there will be big ICT companies and big industries coming in to chip in their investment in the high north, and they will have like some control over the governance and the decision making. So the participation of the people and the public will be reduced, which will directly have effect on the policy making, where the economic policy will dominate the environmental policy. So, and there will be also the problem in the social factors and the indicators, where like people who are intertwined to the nature for their survival will be replaced due to the climate change. But there may be good in migration due to the job created by the big industries. And also there will be competition within the Arctic state instead of cooperation due to the economic gain that will brought by the economic change. So what will be the implication for the environment, such as obviously there will be the elites will make the decisions, and the big companies will have influence on the decision making, so environmental policy will be weakened. Also the migration of a local might increase due to the changing circumstances. Also the thawing of the permafrost will reduce the integrity of our infrastructure, so there will be a great loss on the infrastructure. So people in the coastline might be replaced by the rise in the sea level, so there will be a vast urbanization in the major city, and the old places will be replaced by the new urban cities. And we have the next scenario, that is our wild card.
Yes, after the two scenarios, we come to wildcards, and we apply them to different scenarios and get different conclusions. The first one is the World War III. Our group thinks that the war between the Ukraine and Russia can expand to the Europe and to the West. And we think at that time the nuclear weapons may be used. So in scenario one, we think the nuclear waste will displace the Arctic populations as refugees and potentially destroy the natural resources and the environment. And in scenario two, we think the Arctic will be the battleground for the Cape World powers like US and the Russia, and all the small cities may face the problems like high outbound migration and the social conflicts. And then we think that the war will destroy the peaceful collaboration in the Arctic. And the new forms of collaboration will take form, potentially threatening the existence of the Arctic Council. And then comes to our second wildcard is the flooded cities. As sea level rises, we think that the low-lying cities will suffer from the extreme weathers. In scenario 1, we think sharing technology with each other can help the Arctic members to prepare for the future disasters. And in scenario 2, we think that the loss of the clean water resources, soil erosion, and decreasing biodiversity will come to a scarcity of basic resources of human society. And last point, the failure of cooperation in the Arctic about stopping temperature rising and ice melting can have detrimental disasters such as the sea flooding to the societies all over the world. So that's our discussion about wildcards.
Thank you, Sue. From the consideration of our scenarios and the white card, we came to a realization that in building a smart city in the high north, it involves integration of environmental sustainable practice and climate change consideration into our urban planning and development. And how can we get this done? So we came up with what we can. That is the internal factors that we have control over as people, as government of each region. So from the internal factors, we look at participation. Participation for us to curb and to fight against the environmental crisis and climate change. Participation is very key. The government, the business, and the public has to come together to address the environmental challenges and ensure that they put in place an implementation that is sustainable solution to the problem. So it is very key that as we are seated here today, we are championing the cause of survival and the future of INOTS. So it's part of the process of getting aware and which we can network other people that are not here to be part and to be part of this information. Number two, that we can do, secondly, is cooperation and collaboration planning. That means to say, all the stakeholders, there must be a crucial building, all the stakeholders, in order to build a crucial smart city, it is very crucial to build a smart city that are sustainable and resonate. They need to work together to come up, to develop a plan that will help to reduce the greenhouse emission and to improve energy efficiency and protect the natural resources. Thirdly, what we can do, from the assumption, we assume that there is going to be an increase in technology advancement. That means there will be an increase in technology. So we must be ready to invest heavily on technologies. So this will help as well to curb the environmental challenges and the climate problem that may arise. Lastly we must ensure that we are creating an initiative to ensure a balance that will improve the social and economic indicator of each region. This will go a long way. It's within our reach that we can do to fight the crisis of environment and climate change. What we cannot, those are the external factors of things that we don't have power over. But these are geopolitics, the rate of global warming, increase in energy demand, and climate incident that we have been seeing in recent times. What we discussed on this that can be used to mitigate against this risk is seeking a global alliance and cooperation among the regional government to help in curbing the environmental crisis and the climate change. Thank you.
I thank students for the presentation and of your scenarios and your wildcards. And now I would like to give a floor to one of the jury members, Marius Fagerli, who will give the justification why we have chosen you.
Yeah, justification. it was really interesting and fun to participate in this as a jury member. There was a lot of good submissions, but this one stood out because they had like the ability to actually balance kind of difficult and kind of complicated topics, and also in an elegant way kind of map out first that change is coming, and we can't avoid it, and we can't ignore it. So that was kind of like their statement. And then they created these scenarios, which are like, it gave me the chills. If I see WW and 3 eyes after it, it kind of gives me the chills. But they kind of made this plausible, and they, in an elegant way, explained how things could go about and the connection. So they kind of connected the dots. And after like kind of going about around that topic and those scenarios and explaining that in a very like insightful and fact-based way, they came to the conclusion that it could go good or bad, but still plausible. It's not like unrealistic. And the remedy for it all is that we as human beings, in the end, can solve this mainly by talking. So it was kind of a nice message. So
Thank you very much, Marius. Now we will give, with your applause, we will give the diplomas to the students, and we'll start with Bishal. And then it is Olavale. And then it is Sue. And then it is Thomas. And then we also have Celia together with you in spirit, so you can give her as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I was waiting for my diploma, but